sure my phone's charging. Yes. All right. I don't know he's here yet, but if you're watching the rebroadcast, we're getting ready to do an Ask Uncle Birch here. It never takes long for people to show up on this channel. Hello, people. I'm waiting. Waiting till we get enough people in there. Then I'll start yapping. You know the drill. Well, all right. Hello, Erwan Tree. Hello. Well, I'm Uncle Birch. You probably know that because you're on my page. You're on my YouTube channel. I don't think you would know that I'm going live unless you were subscribing. I think that's how it works. I don't know how you people end up here. Hello, James. Yes, November 1st, WitchSkewl has begun. Well, the class appears. People can sign up for it. The first lessons won't go out until November 5th. I need to get the students enough time to get their asses in. So there is still time. This time around, a lot of people signed up ahead of time, which allows me to secure spots. And then when the class opens, there's an arbitrary amount of spots left, and right now, there's still spots left. So you get over there to gumroad.com/witchschool, and you got to look for the November 1st WitchSkewl here in a day. Don't sign up for August. Don't sign up for May. And don't sign up for the one that doesn't have a month attached, because that's like March. I still have people doing that, signing up for the wrong class. I'm sure I say it all the time. Some people just don't listen. Let's see, I'm trying to get this terrible glare off of me. That's where the camera wants to be. That's where another couple days I'll be getting bombarded with questions from a whole new, huge people already. So I do this thing. It's called Ask Uncle Birch. You've probably seen it before if you're on my page. Do it a lot. I do it here, I do it there, I do it everywhere. Just expose myself to random questions from random witches all over the world because it's my job to teach witchcraft. And it behooves me to, you got to keep your skills up. You know, you can't rely on old books from, 40 fucking years ago, which, I haven't read a whole lot of the latest books that have come out. When I had a brick and mortar store and relied more on book sales to keep the place open, I had to stay abreast on everything that came across my shelves. I at least had to skim it, become somewhat familiar with each book there. And do that this much. I'm looking at other things, digital things, video things, Facebook posts. There's all kinds of other stuff out there to learn rather than reading every book that comes out, which really, the majority of books that have come out for the last 20 years, just regurgitating all the stuff that was out 20 years before. There's only so many ways you can.
We know a lot of posers who've written books.
And we personally know a lot.
What's what?
We personally know a lot of posers that have written books, so I don't know what's what. But there's only so many variations. Most of the books are going to have the same basic startup information. So even in that, helps me know what's out there, because I want to make sure my classes are never that. We're never regurgitating a bunch of the same information that can be found in every group out there. I want to teach the other stuff. So I need to stay abreast. And I do this thing called Ask Uncle Birch. I let people ask random questions. I get to know, what are the things the new kids want to learn these days, and what is the bullshit that they're being fed out here on the internet these days. And it's a great deal because a lot of my teaching is, unteaching the bullshit. I've got to know what kind of crap is being spewed out there about the craft so I can undo it in my classes so that I don't put out another generation of ignorant witches that don't know shit, quite frankly. I mean, right here in the top of my class, just the very beginning, it says, here today, course with Uncle Birch beginning November 1st. In a year, Uncle Birch will teach you everything you need to start your path in the craft, either personally or professionally. I mean, even without the professionally, that's a large order right there, and I live up to it. I will say, my students that have been in for a couple months can take on most students out here in any type of witchcraft, and they're way more knowledgeable than half the people out there. Yes, it's arrogant. Yes, I'm bragging. Yes, but it ain't bragging if it's true. Muhammad Ali said that back when my students kick ass. But that's a bold statement. I must have typed that myself. Teach you everything you need to know to start your path in a year, in a day. I mean, really, that's what that was supposed to be. The year and a day in some traditions of witchcraft and in most traditions of Wicca, the first year and a day. Yeah, you were supposed to be taught everything that you needed to know to go out on your own. Not necessarily join the coven and be spoon-fed shit for the rest of your life. But Uncle Birch went several further. I'm also teaching in that class. You want to go into business? You want to have a spiritual or a witchy business, psychic business, readings, whatever you've got. I've learned a lot over the years. I was not a businessman when I started in the business of the occult, so I learned the hard way. I made many mistakes, and so as such, the things that I learned are lessons that stick. I'm teaching those things in this class. I'm teaching brewing techniques that actually are giving away trade secrets that I've spent a great deal of time creating. Some of my tech, pretty serious stuff. Let's see. What is a tip you have for online tarot readers? Well, Jamie, oh, Jesus. I pressed the wrong fucking button. Okay, I got it back. I'm sorry. Nicole. I always forget which account you're using sometimes. Yeah, your class isn't there yet. Your class is, I think your class is almost up to the shopcraft portion of the class, maybe a month or so away. One of the things I'm going to recommend, and I'll recommend it, I recommended it in that portion of the class, but definitely to you. Don't do free readings. You know, a level of free readings to create business is done, but I would do like, you know, a card, you know, pull a card for them, that kind of thing. Don't give them too much. Don't give them a whole reading for free and expect them to pay for a reading. If they get a little tidbit, you know, just give them good, they're going to want more. You don't want to give them the whole thing. You don't want to give them a full fucking reading. Just give them a one-card reading. Say, hey, you want to know some more? Come here, send me some PayPal. Cross my palms with PayPal, bitch, and then I'll read for you some more. But it's that all the time. A lot of people out there doing that on Facebook. It is a good way to get business, get your name out there. But if you're going to do a full reading, there's no reason for anybody to pay you. Just give them a little bit of your product. And this goes for all things. All things that are product do not.
That's how I bag you.
Exactly. She didn't give it away for free.
They only give you the tip for a while.
You only give me the tip. Yeah. Oh, God. So distracting. Welcome to my world. We do this Ask Uncle Birch thing. I invite you into my world. I spend a lot of time right here. Nicole's saying hi. But, don't get away for free. And don't haggle. Don't aim high. You know what? Well, it was Nietzsche that said, value in society is inferred by what we paid for it. It's not just monetary. It's like, what effort did we have to go through to haggle for it, to drive across town for a bargain sale, This is all effort. This is all time. This is gas money. These kinds of things. There are incurred costs in seeking a deal quite often. And if you cheapen your product based on its value, your product is cheap. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. When it came time for me to teach correspondence courses, I had no clue what to do. I had no clue how to teach remotely like this. We've gotten pretty good at it now. But I had to go out there and look to see what other people have done, and not necessarily do that. Let's see how other people do it. That'll give me some ideas of how I would do it. And so I went out and I looked at, one of the most respected teachers when I was growing up. I looked at what Raven Gramassy was charging for a monthly charge for a year-in-a-day course. How much a month did his course cost? I looked at his price, and I bumped my price up $10. And actually, price is going to go up probably on the next class. This will be the last class at $35 a month. The next one will probably be $40 a month because, it's been a while. I've been doing it at $35. Your price has to rise with the cost of living and all that kind of thing. But look at that. It's like Raven Gramassy was an author. He was a good author. We should not be expecting all of our authors to be teachers, priests, leaders, anything of the kind. They're authors. There may be some authors that are teachers, but that's not Raven Gramassy, and he was not a teacher. Before that, he was an author trying his hand at teaching. It's like, so if I was to write a book, I might undercut Raven Gramassy's price because he's actually an author. But being that we're talking about teaching, I am a teacher. That's what I do. I teach witchcraft for a very long time, probably as long as Raven Gramassy had been writing and as long as Raven Gramassy had been in the craft, pretty much. So I charge more. Look at the base level out there, but then look at who's teaching. Who's teaching, and is your product better than that? No, my product is. My product is better than an author trying their hand at teaching. I am a teacher, I'm a priest, I'm a leader. That's never anything I really wanted. It's just, how life worked out for me. It's something I got thrown into at a very early age. So I charge more. So don't undercut your value. Don't undercut your value by giving it away for free. Maybe like a coupon or something for a discounted reading to hook somebody in. Occasionally people might need to do that kind of thing in the early stages. But if you're going to go out there on Facebook and do reading for people, then I would recommend one card. Just do one card. And me, I don't do those at all. Because my method of reading tarot is kind of like going to see your shrink, and he's using tarot cards too. It's like a psychiatrist appointment with tarot cards. I will dig deep, and you will most likely cry. Marta gets readings all the time, so I don't necessarily make Marta cry every time. But my readings will uncover some deep psychological shit that you got to work through quite often. I'm not going to do that to somebody on the fucking internet, on Facebook. If your readings are, you can keep it at a base level, then cool, do that on the internet, but you don't want to expose everybody's like personal baggage and that kind of thing. And to me, the only way that I could do that is to read one card. I'm not going to be able to go that deep into somebody's subconscious off of one card. All right, so that's the first question. See how much I had to say on one fucking question? This is why I do this shit. Hey, Uncle Birch, hey lady, do you have any taint tats? Oh, that sounds painful. You got to pay extra for that? Hello, Tyrone.
I would charge extra for that if I were a tattoo artist.
I don't have any tats, period. I was a cop once, and I filled out many a police report and many a field interview card, and the portion of that paperwork that I never forget that. Like, I don't want to be easily identified by authority figures. I'm really doing anything illegal anymore. It's just a long habit of an anarchist. Yeah. Yeah, big man, the horse left the gate.
You like that about me, because we have the same reason.
Yeah, I like your reasons. Let's see. Trying to call me while I'm live. All right, hopefully that can bump Is there still time to get in the November class? Sorry if you already answered that. I'll be answering that several times. Yes, you can still do it. I have more people sign up ahead of time, which secured their spots, than the people that randomly. I just started plugging in a couple hours ago. I launched the class at midnight, and only the people that were really paying attention got in. Then it wasn't until I got up this morning, back from taking my kid to school, and right before the news show, that I even started plugging it. So definitely slots. At the very least, signups will be open until November 5th, because that's when the first classes will actually go out. So yeah, gumroad.com/WitchSkewl, WitchSkewl. You will see the November 1st WitchSkewl course. Be sure and look at November 1st, not the other ones. I have other people signing up still for August and May. Sometimes people will they'll get dropped out of the class because their whatever you call it, their card won't go through or something like that, and then a spot will open. Then I'll have to figure out how to get that person back in when the card works. But we usually figure that out. But it's November 1st, WitchSkewl. And of course, all of my witch schools are WitchSkewl. So yeah, don't sign up for the other ones. There's a lot there. I have entire year-in-a-day courses. My old year-in-a-day course is available for download at a reduced price for people that don't want to take a whole year in a day to learn witchcraft. And I think it's a great course. It's a very different course than what I'm teaching now. But those are standalone courses. And there's courses in tarot, witchcraft without Wicca, which I need to start working on some more of that. I kind of left it hanging to do this other thing. Spiritual warfare. Whole bunch on spiritual warfare, and even my magical warfare lectures from Hexfest. God, I can't believe I drew a blank on it. So a lot of stuff up there. gumroad.com/WitchSkewl. But this class, November. I think it's November. It's abbreviated. NOV 1st WitchSkewl year and a day. I think that's what it says. So check those out. Our magical war classes were amazing. I need to give you a code for one still, I think, too. Nicole. God, you got to remind me of this stuff sometimes, you know? Let's see. So, a lot of people here. So we're doing Ask Uncle Birch. I'm also talking about the WitchSkewl class. It's just open. Today is the first day that it opened, and it's going to be a huge class. We also have our own social network that you can't see until you're in the class, but we have a Facebook page that my students started, and we have so far all of the year in a day students on this page. So you get the new kids learning stuff from the old kids helping them with their homework and stuff, and then sometimes they're just teaching new things. I'm just kind of watching. I'll interact here and there, and I'll jump in here and there, but I like watching my kids do it. There's so many priests and priestesses with a lowercase p out in the world that really are only in it so they can boss somebody around or feel like they're above somebody else. And you can usually recognize these people because based on the lack of control they have in their own personal lives. It can be financially, it can be hygiene, it can be a lot of things. But you can see a person, the people that want to control others have a huge lack of control in their own personal lives, and that's usually where that comes from. It's like an ego thing. I view it like I was taught. Priests like father. These are like my kids. I want my kid to do better than me. So I want my kids to do better than me. Seeing my kids out there teaching each other witchcraft does something great for me. I want to see that. I'm not in this to hang my priesthood over somebody's head like a fucking carrot or some shit. I want my kids to do well in the witchcraft world, and so far, 3 classes and were really doing well, helping each other along their path. And they did this on their own. They have their own little teaching things, discussion things, and hey, personal responsibility. An anarchist always likes to see people take personal responsibility. Do you believe that working with incubi, succubi leads to mental instability? Jesus, Cole, you've been on that rant forever, and I've told you the dangers of that kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, mental instability. I mean, this is how things possess you. They get you unstable, and then they possess you. So spirits will wake you up a lot. Just like a hex, they'll wake you up a lot in the middle of the night until you've been sleep deprived enough for them to mount you. Not in the way you're thinking. Take you over. And demons, you know, the succubi, incubi, they're demons. Okay? You don't need a demon to get laid. Okay, kids? Can we just repeat this out there? I know for some of y'all having a hard time getting laid out there, it might sound cool to have, you know, a fucking sex demon come into your fucking house. It's a demon. They gets paid. Sometimes they gets paid by giving birth to your unholy child. Generally, bad idea. But I was a kid once. I played with all kinds of demons and shit. I get it. Me telling you this is more for later. When you've come to see the wisdom of my words yourself, then my words will ring into your head. It's like when I try and caution people against love spells. It's not that they ever think that they're going to not do the love spell. They're going to do the love spell, and then after it fucks up, just like I said it would, then my words will ring in their head. So this is kind of later. So I'll just keep telling you what I got to tell you, and you'll go do what you're going to do, and then we'll know. Sometimes you got to know by doing, I guess. But we're doing this thing called Uncle Birch. So far, a bunch of my students are in here getting free questions when they've already paid. So, but yeah, I do this as a community service. But well, those don't tend to be questions that I've answered in class. So we don't cover incubi and succubi a whole lot. What? Can you see the look she's giving me in the reflection? You don't see that. Hi, Emerald City Mystic. Oh, Tyrone. I have nothing really to base that on. There is probably a lot to be said about Francis Bacon actually being Shakespeare, or Shakespeare being the ghost writer of Francis Bacon. Shakespeare's lack of education shows no reason why Shakespeare could have been able to write any of the things that he wrote. There is a lot of data that Shakespeare was probably actually Francis, like high magical societies. Now, I have no data to point to King James being a witch, but all people that persecuted witches and passed laws against witches since the dawn of Rome and before had a court magician working for them. So they passed laws against witchcraft and magic, but they had a magician working for them, or were working magic themselves. It's always been a power grab. There's never been Christians that are so pious they really want to do God a favor and do away with the infidel witches. I mean, there are Christian followers that may have bought that line, but ultimately every time it's happened, it's been the church making a power grab because the church has the magic. Like the greatest witch persecutions were done at the hands of the Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church to this day has all the witchcraft books. They seized them. They didn't burn them. You know, other religions do that. Catholics kept them. And only the higher level priests have access to the best occult books the world ever had. Catholics still have them. Catholics are still doing rituals. Poleros will say that the Catholics are operating very similar to Palo. And that I've heard that Catholic churches that are named for saints have to have relics. Relics are bones of that saint. And they spread them around. Because, you know, there'll be several churches for a saint, but at least get a bone from that saint. And that they perform a blood sacrifice every year on that saint's day, bathing that bone in blood. Rather similar to Palo, but I won't go there. But in that, I can see the persecuting witches. But all the way back to King Saul in the Bible. He was persecuting witches, and his priests could not invoke Samael, which is a spirit / demon that often advised the king. The priest just couldn't call him up anymore for some reason. And King James needed to talk to him. He had a battle, or I'm sorry, King Saul had a battle coming, and he needed to talk to him. So he went out and sought the wise old woman of Endor, in other versions of the Bible called flat out the Witch of Endor. That's what wise meant in the Bible. It meant witch, magic user, wizard, this kind of thing. So while King Saul allegedly was hunting witches, he knew where the main witch in his province was, and he was not hunting her. Matter of fact, when he needed her help, he went immediately to her, and she invoked Samael. She called for Samael. Apparently, the reason Samael didn't want to come talk to King Saul is Samael did not want to be the bearer of bad news that King Saul would die in his next battle. But since the Witch of Endor called him up, he told him. And sure enough, that's what happened. King Saul died in his next battle. So historically, all the way back, beyond Rome, every time somebody did that, it was to keep the magic for themselves as a power source. They persecuted others that had that power because they wanted to be the only people with that power. So, maybe you got a point. I know of no data to indicate that at all with King James, but Sunny, finally a different question. I've been doing the LBRP and other rituals daily for years now. How do you know for sure when you don't need to go through the rites and just mentally put the shields up? Start playing with it. Start doing it. Do that. There's certain feelings that have come up probably every time you've cast each quarter, every time the circle gets sealed. For me, a big one, when the circle's finally sealed, there's always a temperature rise. It can be cold as fuck out on the beach, and once the circle gets sealed, I start kind of sweating. That's one of them. There's certain tingly feelings for this, that, or the other. So, try and do the rituals without those props and see, how much of those feelings are you having? How intense are they? Are they as intense as they were if you did all of those ritual steps with your ritual tools and that kind of thing? Because, eventually you're going to get to where you're going to need to do it without tools. You need to do it where nobody can even see what you're doing. You're going to need to do it on a bus, in a riot, with a big crowd or something. It's gonna happen eventually. You're going to need to try it. So let's see. I think only the people here live with you should have the secret information. Well, no, the actual secret informations, that's more for my paid students. There's certain things that I don't teach the whole world. That's why, magical warfare and spiritual warfare is not for free. I'll teach how to remove a hex, remove a curse. I'll teach that for free, but communities to be more fucked up. Just teach every willy-nilly person out there everything. Not everybody. I am rather fortunate on my channel. We've had very few loons that have made themselves known, knock on wood. and probably only had to kick 3 people off of this YouTube channel ever. We're lot less trolls around here, and I don't know why. Let's see. I'm enrolled in the class, and I'm excited to start. Okay, Elver Golarga. Oh, I know your name. I put out for those in the class we have a Facebook page for just the class, and I'm trying to get the new class in there. But the people that actually run the page, I think they're going to have to change the settings or something. I'm having to invite the people that are on my friends list. And a lot of people that I know them by a different name, so it's kind of hard to do. But I'm kind of thinking, depending on how the weekend goes, I might go live on the WitchSkewl page. So, Elver Larga, if you're on my Facebook, send me a message, remind me of that. Because I can only invite people from the friends list right now. I think somebody over there needs to change the privacy settings. I think I may have gotten a message about that while I was live. There's somebody over there on the page doing it, but it's not my page. It's run by my students. I jump in when I need to, or when somebody directly asks me a question, but I watch everything that happens there. I like watching my kids help each other. And a lot of my kids, I see them all over on the internet doing stuff like that. So I like to watch my kids helping the world too, helping the craft world. Some of them are out there doing it. Tyrone's out there asking extremely heady questions to the entire occult world, making them think. I want to take you. Got people messaging me about the class right now. How do we know if a spell meant for someone else might like it turns around and works on us? Can't happen. You're my class, so we're going to be covering this soon. Whatever it is, people worry about this stuff more with hexes and that kind of thing. How am I supposed to stop blowback? And I always say, you need to throw it all. Throw it all, or don't throw it at all. Whether it's a love spell or a protection, whatever you got, get it all out of you. If it's a hex, let the hate flow through as a tool. Don't attack people because you're mad. Don't attack people because you're emotional. Later, we can use that emotion for a power source. When I well that kind of anger up in me, it literally steams my glasses. I can see the heat flowing through my eyes. I usually, remove my glasses right there. So that's one. Don't do magic wearing sunglasses, especially mirror lenses. So like when I see my glasses steam up, I remove them so I don't block it at all. But you want to let everything go and then let it go. A thing that we harp on a great deal in my classes is the 3 keys of magic, which I actually teach here for free on YouTube. Relaxation, concentration, and projection. Projection's the hardest one. Taking everything you held up in the spell and throwing it as hard as you can at that target and letting it go to the extent where you forget you ever even did it. And I teach techniques on how to do that, even though it's hard. Let's see. I sent get notice. I hope that's a translator screwing up, because I can't really mark Arrowin Tree, Mars and Scorpio. Okay, so you're Mars and Scorpio. I sent get notice. Yeah, there's a typo or something in there, and I'm just not wrapping my head around an actual sentence there. So maybe try it again. Okay, that makes sense for Emerald City Mystics. So, if you haven't ever played Ask Uncle Birch before, a couple rules. Try not to ask me a question when I'm answering a question, or I won't see it. Try not to be too long-winded, or I won't be able to see the whole question. And a good idea to copy and paste your question. It's coming fast over here, and a lot of people ask me questions when I'm answering a question. So copy your questions. You can paste it later if I miss it. It is. I don't get notice when it will bubble up. Okay, let me scroll back to it first. I sent get notice. I don't get notice when it will bubble up. Oh man, I don't understand you, Erwin. I'm trying. I'm trying. I don't understand what that means. I don't get notice when it will bubble up. Emotion bubble up, I guess. What you talking about? That takes a lot of work. You know, I'm a very emotional person, and that takes a lot of personal and psychological work. I subliminally program myself and use self-hypnosis on myself to program a great many things that I thought would be beneficial into me and deprogram other things that were detrimental to me. I mean, I was an emotional basket case, scared of the entire fucking world once upon a time. And then next thing you know, I'm having to teach a bunch of people witchcraft and put myself in front of people all the time. And that led to more people and more people and more people. As long as I was discussing witchcraft, I was fine. But then if I actually thought about it, oh my God, I'm sitting in front of a bunch of people and they're all looking at me, you know, I'd freak out sometimes. So I set out to reprogram myself. And a lot of other things. You know, a lot of other things I reprogrammed myself. But that specific thing, you know, it was clear I was going to have to be a public speaker, and I needed to program myself to be able to do that and deprogram myself from the things that stopped me from doing that. And that's what happened. I can't stop. I'm on a camera or a microphone most of the time. It's become my living. I'm good at it, but I don't know. Maybe I went a little overboard on that spell. It's still working. Clearly still working. Me too. Yeah, you asked me that Picatrix. Maybe you can elaborate on what Picatrix. I know what a Grippa is. I'm interested in the Picatrix. What is the Picatrix? I don't think I know what the Picatrix is. I mean, now if we're talking a Grippa, Grippa's like Agrippa, Amelin, Keys of Solomon, these kind of guys. The old Grimoires of the ceremonialists. Is Picatrix somehow in there? If so, it would have to be a later edition. I mean, because those are the ancients. Agrippa. Oh, look, they're buying my class right now. And I can't see anything because they're buying my class. Get out there. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Somebody's asking me another question. How are the fires over there? Getting better? Maybe a little. I mean, I think the wind's finally dying down, but there's been, you know, I think every night 2 or 3 more fires start. The air quality's not too bad here. Yeah, we're in the concrete jungle, so a lot of concrete would have to burn before it actually get us. There was a time it was pretty smoky.
We're across the street from state landmark.
We're across the street from all kinds of famous shit, so they ain't gonna let this shit burn down. And then the houses in the hills right here. And even our house ain't cheap, so you know we're in a neighborhood that they're going to. What's your thoughts on this? Basically, a book of old spells for the Picatrix. Okay. I don't really know the Picatrix, but they are old spells. 11th century magic. Really? Huh. All right. Yay! Something I don't know. I wept because there was no new worlds to conquer. And then Picatrix came. And now I will be able to go learn about Picatrix. It sounds like something my son would play on the Xbox. You know, collect characters for Picatrix. It's probably not how you pronounce it, but that's how it's spelled. I'm going to go learn about that. 11th century magic. I hope it's not fucking Latin. Okay, there are some of those ones that are in Latin that I think about. Send you a message on Facebook about the WitchSkewl group. Okay, I may have seen that pop up. Really, Uncle B is a great book. Okay. I don't have a favorite shadow work, Nicole. Shadow work sucks. There's no shadow work that's good. There's no shadow work that's pleasant. And if you come to me and said, I did my shadow work, I know you're wrong. Shadow work is never done. It's something you do. Always. Shadow will never be gotten rid of. The shadow will never be suppressed. You will never be able to perform an exorcism on your personal demons. The best you can accomplish technique for another date, but we will have to reach an agreement. They will always be a part of you. And unfortunately, the part of you as they exist now are bent on your demise. That's the shadow. Difficult to deal with. Some things you can do, you can learn to recognize certain negative forces within yourself. The tone of voice they use, I always say there's a frequency, a vibration for each part of myself, and there are certain parts of myself that when I hear that vibration, I tune them out. And I say, cancel, cancel. Sorry, bud. Ain't getting in there. You're gonna listen to your fucking negative shit. Internal critics, internal demons, these kind of things, you know. Maybe later we'll have a little bit of talk, but in daily life, they're just there to bring you down if you let them. And maybe that's their purpose, is to teach you to be stronger in your own regard, that you don't let them. A huge portion of this world is how you think of this world. Your life, your happiness can be because you decided to be happy. You decided to have a good life. It can't be that simple. A lot of people are plagued by parts of themselves that put themselves down all the time and tell themselves that they will never get better and nothing's ever going to be okay. If you allow that dialogue to occur, and if you make the fatal mistake of repeating those words that you hear in your head, well, you're going to have a lot of work to do to overcome that. But Mind Control 101 here on this channel, check it out. I think there's at least 3 of them. I give some good techniques. They seem to work for me. Hopefully they work for you. I'm Uncle Birch. I just launched my November 1st year and a day WitchSkewl. And let's take a look really quick. Since I'm on my channel and I'm allowed to plug it, a lot of other places I'm not allowed to. So here, chart your path in the craft, either personally or professionally. Yeah, where are you going to get that? You will receive at least 3 video classes per month, accompanied by text and PDF material. You also interact with Uncle Birch and receive his personal insights and instructions. Note the first class will come out November 5th. We will learn craft history like you've never heard, philosophy and old lore, things that have been forgotten. Oh, so many things. The powers of the moon, where science and magic meet. Tools of magic, keys of magic, the moon, sun, stars, spell work, folk magic, various folk magics, combining magics, client work, setting up shop, brewing techniques, professional witchery, protection magic, cursing, hexing, and crossing, removing curses, hexes, and cross conditions, covens and groups, how to join, go out in the world. You find me somebody out there that's going to teach you all that in a year and a day. Because my view is, you may join our groups, you may not. I need to send you out the door ready to go. You may want to go into business, a psychic business, a tarot business, a witchcraft supply business, even an online business with some sort of spiritual thing. I'm sure some of the stuff that I teach is good for all business, but I'm gearing mine towards the spiritual business because that's what I know. That's the business that I know. So, yeah, teaching all that and the other stuff too. And just finished that in the first class. And I gotta say, I give away some trade secrets that took me decades to come up with. But these are my kids. I want my kids to do well. I'd like your kids to do well too. I'd like all the kids to do well. That's why I do this. not just to plug the classes. I'm teaching free all the damn time. Yes, I'm going to turn it into a business for sure. I kind of thought you were already doing that, Emerald City Mystic. Maybe you are. I mean, with a name like that, you already got a name. You already got a brand right there. Emerald City Mystic. I like it. Where is my fucking thing? I want to not lean this on the damn laptop anymore. There. Oh, it's still lighting sucks, but whatever. Oh, I am, but want to make it bigger. All right, yeah. Now, see, I'm different than a lot of people. I started with brick and mortar, and eventually I started an online shop attached to the brick and mortar. And then had teaching going on and other things that I was doing. And my ultimate goal that I saw long ago there is to break free from the brick and mortar. You know, other people have done it. Like I was never really great at delegating. So it's like, you know, my friend Christian Day, he's like, you got 4 shops running, but he doesn't have to do everything for him. I was like, I was, you know, very hands-on. I had a hard time telling people, hey, you do this, you do that, you do this. So my brick and mortar was not going to expand into other areas, and also with the brick and mortar, you're limited to the amount of people in your geographical location. And if you have any other shops in there, any competition, you know, it's very thin. And if you're like my shop, which is making supplies for actual practitioners rather than having a lot of things on the shelves for tourists, I would have done a lot better if I had a lot more tourist stuff and jewelry. But I was trying to, you know, appeal to more, you know, practitioners. Only so many practitioners in an area, and, you know, things will fluctuate. And the thing about a physical location is you're locked into the cost of living there. Typically, if the rents are cheap, there's no jobs. If the jobs are plentiful, the rents are high. Like here in LA, there's plenty of jobs, so the rents are high. I go live in, you know, fucking Texas, you know, probably, you know, for $500 a month, man, I can live on 40 acres, fucking 20-bedroom fucking house, but there's no jobs. So everything's based on the cost of living. So if something seems cheap where you're looking, there's a reason why it's cheap. Now, if your living comes from the internet, that's gone. That single debilitating factor that affects most people in this world is a non-equation anymore. So my ultimate goal was to reach the point where my brick and mortar was obsolete. And the moment that I realized that, I'd already been that way for like 3 years. Most of my major living was coming from the internet, and I was using a lot of that to keep the brick and mortar open, paying the rent. It's a terrible business model. So I teach you not to do that kind of thing in my class, because I teach based on all the mistakes I made. And when I finally figured my way out of the mistakes, then I teach you what I fucking learned. That was one of the things. Like, that was a bad business model. But as soon as I realized that, we pulled up stakes. I fucking talked my way out of a fucking lease, and we're out of there, man. And I haven't looked back. We've been able to live wherever we want to live since then. And it has nothing to do, where we live has nothing to do with our money. You know, I could go out and, you know, teach at different shops or stuff, and I may do that. Probably not around here. Really not. There's no shop around here that I want to teach at. But if we end up somewhere else where there's cool stuff around, I might do that. I do miss teaching in person sometimes, but you know, if I can't teach to 35 people at once, it's not lucrative. You know, I don't take on individual students. I want, you know, as many in a class as I can get, and it's going to be quality teaching. The quantity matters. I want to have, you know, as long as the demand is there, I supply. We learn stuff like that in the class. Supply and demand. If there's something that your customers are using more of, price needs to go up. You do a little bit at a time. You don't want to, make anybody twitch. But the more in demand a product that you have is, the more you should be charging for it. Supply and demand. This is one of the basis is of our whole fucking capitalist society, really. Let's see. Okay, a bunch of students meeting each other there. Hey Bert, should I incorporate the name of the stars Aldebaran and the 3 others in the LBRP variant with the elements? How does that work with? Yeah, one of the secret watcher names that I teach my students to look up is the 4 stars associated with the watchers. So those you actually absolutely could elaborate on the LBRP or any quarter system and use those for the names of the watchers, but you could dig further, and there are other ones out there that are not specifically star names that are associated with those watchers. And if you look into Grimassi's work, you'll probably find them. I'll leave you that. Interesting. Yes, I think Emerald City Mystic, Jamie from Spreaker. She's always on our show, and she's got a show. The Occult Empire, I think. I keep missing it. I listen to archives. What was I saying? Oh, I wasn't saying anything. I answered that question. So we're doing Ask Uncle Birch. I just started the November 1st class, and this is how I get myself ready. Any day now, those kids are going to start asking me a bunch of questions, and going out here, throwing myself out on the internet, answering random questions helps me, helps you. One of the oldest laws in magic, left hand. For everything that is taken, right hand. Something must be given. For everything that is taken, something must be given. The law of exchange exists in all craft and all things, just sometimes under a different name. But look at all you got from our other chat rooms. We know each other from the Spreaker chat room, Wittersons.
Oh. Cute.
We're gonna sing "It's a Small World" any minute now. It's a world of laughter, a world of tears. A world of hope and a world of fears. Fears that we share, that as time we're aware, it's a small world after all. You think that Disney shit don't fucking work on you, man? When's the last time you went on that ride? How old were you? Yeah, you can't even remember. 22?
22.
Oh, 22. You went on the small one. Oh, you were high. You were fucking. Who goes on a small world ride at 22 unless you have kids that isn't high? I mean, on acid, I could see that.
I've never been to Disneyland high, ever.
Really? No. Our favorite thing was, Disneyland on acid.
Yeah, but you were like a ne'er-do-well. I was a
ne'er-do-well, yeah. I mean, that whole song, the Vandals, the Pirates of the Caribbean, 7 hits of L and nobody can tell.
I love the Pirates of the Caribbean.
I definitely did that one on acid many a time.
The Haunted Mansion and Space Mountain.
Matter of fact, one time I accidentally did PCP, was at Disneyland.
I accidentally did PCP in San Francisco.
And we were standing there, and I was saying to my friend, I said, God, I wish we had some weed. And right then, a lit joint falls right in between my fingers. I look up and the Skytram was going over, and somebody who lost it was looking, and I started smoking it. It had this minty chemical taste to it.
Yeah, that's how I consume PCP.
But it was still a gift from God, so I took a couple more hits. Never been to Disney. Well, my kids never been to Disney, but now that Star Wars thing happened, once the lines finally thin out on that, we're gonna have to pull that one off. Yep. Or the one they're building, the other one in Florida now too. I don't know. A lot of times the one in Florida will be bigger, more shit than the one we have here. Like I think the Harry Potter one in Florida is bigger than the Harry Potter one we have here.
I don't want to hear.
That's what Christian Day says, man. All right. The Cars movie is pretty cool too. Accidentally. Yeah, see?
Oh, I
Accidentally.
have to write Sasha's speech.
Yeah.
Where's this my book?
Isn't drugs and magic really bad? I hear certain entities ride you when you're on drugs and alcohol. I hear that too, but I don't know. I'm an exception to many rules, but my original experimentation with psychedelics was happening right at the same time I was studying witchcraft. When I got into coke, I was teaching my coke dealers witchcraft, late into the night, 3 in the morning. It's like, it was amazing how fast I'd talk on coke. I stopped all that shit long ago, but the Chimaruta would have never come to me had I not been teaching those coke dealers coke, or witchcraft, and I've been teaching them witchcraft. So, I don't know. I look back and everything seems to have happened exactly the way it was meant to, exactly the way it needed to, even though I may not have thought it at the time. Hopefully that works out that way for everybody. What are you gasping about?
Doing it. Got a 4 on his exit ticket, and she sends me pictures now because he always loses it.
Oh,
he did
sweet.
it right.
The math?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. You guys haven't even really worked on it.
I know.
Yay. All right, well, you guys need to
She
work on
probably
it.
thinks we have.
Yeah.
Woo!
Woo! We get credit. Parent
Yeah,
shit. All right, we're adulting over here. I'm into an evil spirit when I don't have coffee. So, I only believe in Satan as existing within me before coffee. But in that, yeah, he's scary. Oh, let's see. About anything, all I do is, drink some IPAs and smoke some pot these days, but never really fucked up. Can't ever really be fucked up when you have kids. Just kind of takes the edge off, I guess. I recently kicked coffee. Oh, more power to you. I did one time. I kicked coffee and switched to ginseng for a while. It kind of worked for a while. I don't know why. I don't remember why I went back. Hello, is that Lady Witch? Oops, sorry for the caps. Alright, so we're doing Ask Uncle Birch. Let's see, I put my hand up like this sometimes so I could see how many people are in there. Alright. Pretty good bunch of people running in here. We just started my year in a day course, and I'm thinking maybe this weekend I might go live just for my students. I've been waiting to get enough of them in on that one page before I do that. But I never know when I'm going to do it. What is the importance of being truthful? I'll go through most of that. Magical rapport. Honesty is really important. Don't be lying. Your gods, your spirits know when you're lying, and they start to not take you seriously. So it's important, to be honest. Don't lie. To the extent where your word becomes so potent that you can speak things into existence just because your forces are used to you making things exist when you say they will, making things happen when you say they will. It's important. Last Grimassi book I ever read, I think it was like Old World Witchcraft, I think it was. It kind of lost me. I mean, I got the audio book of the Thornblood Witch, so I didn't really read that, but I listened to it. It's kind of hard for me to spend my whole life listening to Raven Grimassi, and he denies this later in life, and I'm not speaking ill of the dead, I'm speaking truth, because I have magical rapport. To have spent my entire life reading his work back before anybody knew who he was, when he just did self-published books under the name Raven, and he was never confused with any other Raven in the craft. I mean, that dates him. It's like late 80s, early fucking, I think late 80s, late to mid 80s, when he was publishing this stuff, the Books of Ways. He spoke it as his hereditary tradition, and that certain, that the majority of the Gospel of the Holy Strega, the teachings of the Holy Strega, the other version of Aradia, was directly translated from his grandmother's Book of Shadows, and that another segment called The Wanderings in that book was based on the oral legend of the hereditary tradition. He followed up Italian witchcraft. His first book published by Llewellyn was called Ways of Strega, Ways of Strega. And then nobody knew what a strega was for too long, so then they changed the title to Italian Witchcraft, same book. Next book is Hereditary Witchcraft, where he drives that hereditary point home. Now, in the tradition that Raven Grimassi created and put forth as an ancient tradition, the head of the entire tradition, Raven Grimassi's last name was not Grimassi. He may have legally changed it later. Grimassi was to identify him as the Grimoires based on some Strega stuff, which is cool. Raven Grimassi is also... Raven Grimassi is why I found out what the Chimaruta was. The Chimaruta came to me while teaching my coke dealers witchcraft for giving me coke. But I learned what it was and how it was connected to Italian witchcraft right when I started studying Italian witchcraft later. And I learned that from Grimassi. There's probably videos out there telling all of these same stories. But then when it comes to the Thornblood Witch, he's been challenged so much by the fake lore folk about his tradition that he starts to backpedal on that. And I literally had him tell me that he never said that the Gospel of the Holy Strega was the direct translation from his grandmother's Book of Shadows. When he literally told me that face to face across a breakfast table at the Ancient Ways Festival in probably early 2000s up in Oakland, when he was like the Grand Marshal, but nobody knew what a strega was, so nobody went to his workshops except for me and my students. He told me that. I know he wrote that back during the old Green Egg Forum when he was in his, it was a flame war back before they had the internet. And so every week, it'd take like a month for them to respond to each other's flame wars, but him and this guy named Tarot Star were tearing each other apart for years. Raven Grimassi backed up a lot of his shit with these claims of this hereditary system that he brought me up in. He then backpedals on that later in life and then comes up with this whole other tradition, the Thornblood Witch. And it's like, well, maybe if you had just done the Thornblood Witch right away before all this stuff over here that I know that's happening, the backpedaling and the other weird things that went on towards the later part of his life, I probably still own the Thornblood Witch. Maybe I'll listen to it again if we're ever on a long road trip or something. But I more got the book because there wasn't a whole lot of good witchcraft audiobooks out there. So, all right. That's a long fucking answer for your question. I think... any advice of carrying... Any adverse effects of carrying spirit sigils? Is it okay to mix them, like having angels and demons in the same pocket? No. Don't mix them. We're probably talking about, Solomon, Agrippa, Abramelin, and this kind of stuff. Those spirit sigils, no. They're specifically drawn for one purpose only, and they tend to have to be done on very specific materials. With very specific other materials. There are no substitutions that will not have adverse effects in that, in angels and demons in your pocket. Now, other sigils, chaos magic sigils, sure, you can mix them all together. When we make a statement of intent, is it better to be long and detailed or short, excluding exactly what you want in conjunction with the sigil? If you're going to make the statement of intent into a sigil, be brief. But ultimately, the statement of intent, we want to have everything that needs to be said covered. We want to cover all bases. So you can learn ways of making sigils less complicated, even if there's a lot of letters going into them. I say this should be as specific as you can and bind down the action not wanted without using negatives. So, no, not, neither, nor, that kind of thing. None of those words. Make it rhyme if you can. Make it a 4-beat stanza if you can. Make it Dr. Seuss. He had the perfect formula for statement of intent magics. Do it Dr. Seussian if you can. Leaving out the negatives. That's important. Not great at making sigils yet. It's easier depending on what language you pick. I always say, do them with a dead language. Don't do them in English. You don't want to do that. Runes and stuff like runes. There's a lot of magical languages that are mostly straight and angles, lines, not a whole lot of curves. That's optimal for making sigils. You can make it so much easier. Because you can be tracing letters on top of other letters, and even if the letter's obscured and you can't see the letter in the sigil anymore, your subconscious saw you do it. And that's how we can make sigils that are not too overly complicated, even though the sentence that went into them was rather long. I probably cover that a bit on my sigil videos here. I think that some of my earlier videos, and the method I use there is deleting the repeating characters in line, but also another school is deleting the vowels. So these days I kind of do both. Delete vowels and repeating characters. Like if there's one T in the sentence, I don't need another T in the entire sentence. I cross out every repeating T on every word. And somehow the subconscious still can pull that off. So, miraculous beast, this thing. So the November 1st school is afoot. It is still available to sign up. You go to gumroad.com/WitchSkewl, which is of course WITCHSKEWL, and $35 a month, automatically deducted, so I don't have to deal with billing and all that kind of crap. But a year and a day, I believe I can teach a witch everything they need to know in a year and a day to go out the door. If I never see them again, they can be ready to strike out on their own, go into business, name it. I'm sure there's plenty of other things that they'll have to learn along their path, but enough to get started. I believe I can do that, and I've been doing that for quite some time. So, again, it ain't bragging if it's true. And if you're a teacher out there, my kids can kick your kids' asses. They probably won't have to. If, they don't go around starting shit because, they're just that good and they don't have to. But, I'm not trying to offend you. It's just, it ain't bragging if it's true. You guys aren't in Uncle. Oh, here's another one. We're signing up as I speak. Look at that. Now I can't see the damn question. Get off there. If you aren't in Uncle Birch's class, I promise you it's well worth it. She promises you. See? Well worth it. And I got all kinds of different classes up there. If you don't want to wait till the last quarter of the year and a day course to learn the techniques of magical warfare and cursing, hexing, this kind of thing, I teach those as standalones. My spiritual warfare series is still up there, and then I have my the Art of Magical War lectures from Hexfest, or Art of Magical Warfare. You got some tarot up there. I got all kinds of things. I'm working on money spells coming up pretty soon. Again, most of these things, not the cursing, I teach on YouTube for free anyways. But for my paying students, I teach it on a different level. And there are some things, like the magical warfares and stuff, I'm not going to teach somebody that, unless you're paying me you're not officially a student, and there are certain things I am still forbidden to teach somebody that's not formally my student. It's formal. I mean, that's what it takes to be formal now. Cross my palms with silver, then you're my student. What's this? Mystic. My 83-year-old stepdad loves watching your old videos. He loved the voodoo doll one. Oh, the binding president dumbass. When I had the George WWW3 voodoo doll. Those were the days. That's really funny. And in this time, in this day and age, I look back at, W, he's kind of a comical character now that sneaks candy to Michelle Obama at official functions, hangs out with Elaine DeGeneres and Ellen DeGeneres. And God, at the time, he was the biggest fascist we'd ever encountered. And he originally run on the platform of doing away with Wiccan rights because we were anti-religious, irreligious and anti-God. God, I miss him. If I could just trade him for the one we have now. I mean, he didn't come for our religious rights. He got all obsessed about the Muslims. No, I guess, there's 9/11 that happened and stuff, so it makes sense, but yeah. Trump, I don't care if you like Trump. Trump gets butthurt about stuff. And
narcissists.
Yeah.
Be victims.
He was butthurt the last time that he heard witches were trying to do magic on him. But now we got these Christian conspiracy theorists saying that we started doing it again October 26th. I'm sorry, I didn't get that memo. And I'm on those groups. I'm on those groups that did it the first time. I would have gotten the memo. I tend to be out here in the witchcraft landscape, knee deep, people. Knee deep. Sometimes neck deep in this shit. That didn't happen. There was no organized attempt by any witches to hex and or curse Trump again starting in the 26th of October 2019, except those witches that maybe heard that story and thought that they didn't get the memo. They thought they weren't dialed in, and maybe, then they decided to try and do shit on him. But no, that was some fucking conspiracy theory bullshit right there. So you like Bush better than Trump, Tyrone? Yes!
Yeah.
Yes, Tyrone, I did. Bush's father was better at conducting a war, but still, that's the only way you can conduct that war in that place. He shouldn't have pushed all the way to Baghdad. He should have listened to his dad.
I was hoping Jeb was going to win the primary.
But he listened to his generals. He listened to his advisors. He didn't declare himself a fucking great general and then destroy the strategic position of the United States worse than it's ever been since right after the Second World War. I mean, as a military man, Tyrone, you've got to understand what I'm talking about. This guy has destroyed time-honored alliances and the United Nations itself. And the only country in the world that wanted that to happen was Russia. And they always wanted that to happen. They always wanted that to happen. Russia's been wanting to put a fucking stake in our fucking back for my whole fucking life. And they finally fucking did it. And they finally got a guy who's doing all of Russia's work. If you want to... We could argue this all fucking day, man. There ain't nothing he's done that doesn't serve Russia. This fucking thing in Syria has destroyed us on the world stage in the Middle East, and Russia called it out. We are no longer a world power. Not the world power. He says we're not even a fucking world power. He's got a fucking point. Nobody takes us seriously anymore. Nobody respects their alliances with us anymore because we'll just outright bail. Now, somehow, Bush managed to bail on the Kurds too. Daddy Bush managed to bail on the Kurds too in Iraq. Somehow, they kept that out of the media. Now, I'm not saying that's the most moral thing to do, but that's what a leader does. That's what a president does. They control that shit. They control the... Trump ain't controlling the fucking narrative. He's just attacking the fucking media. But the things that I find myself harping on about Trump are different than most of the people that I know hate Trump. I believe in a strong military presence, and I believe that is the only reason that our country still exists to this day, and it has been eroded lifetimes worth in 2 fucking years. 2 fucking years. Our strategic position on the world stage is fucking a smidgen of what it ever fucking was. And back when fucking, even W, man, he wasn't the best at conducting a war. He should have listened to his dad. Going all the way to Baghdad was not a fucking good idea. Sunk us in there for a long fucking time. But bailing once you're fucking in knee deep with your allies, no, man, nobody's going to show up to your fights. It's like, getting some little kid to join you on the playground against fighting the big kids, and then leaving and letting that little kid get their ass kicked. Well, those little kids led us to Baghdadi. We would not have Baghdadi if it wasn't for the Kurds. Even though Trump wants to play that down, Trump wants to take all the credit because it's an American dog. It's a German Shepherd. It's a beautiful dog. Beautiful German Shepherd American dog. But it gives more credit to the dog and himself than he gives to his own military. But the Kurds did it. The Kurds brought back a piece of Baghdadi's underwear that they stole. They went in, stole his fucking underwear, brought it out for us to do a DNA test on to prove it was him before we went in. We didn't have anybody in there to steal his fucking underwear, okay? So the allies we bailed on, left to be slaughtered, left them to have to make a deal with Russia, still got us Baghdadi. And then the next guy, they got us the next guy too. So they're trying to show us how worthy they are over there, but it's like, no, that kind of thing. I'm sorry I got into a political rant, but big thing. And then it's like, Israel was set up by the USSR, your greatest ally, never helped you, LOL. Israel was set up by the USSR. Well, I believe in the long memory. I believe, that's what the bards used to do, in remembering histories that most forget. And what I'm about to say can absolutely be confirmed in just a small internet search. Now, first of all, I'm not anti-Semitic. Most of my in-laws are Semitic. My wife's Semitic. But I remember what happened. I study history. After World War II, the British were in control of Israel. A bombing campaign was mounted against the British occupation by a militant group of Israelis. And I don't remember the name. There were several hotels bombed and restaurants where British military members hung out. Eventually, this was too much for the British to keep up with. They weren't close enough to take care of this situation. It had become too untenable. They gave land over to the current people who are the Israelis. They gave them the homeland because they had been bombed into it. Now, terrorism will always be the way there. It's always going to be that way. The Palestinians going to do it, the Jews are going to, or Israelis are fucking up here, you got Syria over here. They're all surrounded by fucking enemies just trying to hold on to their little piece of land. But most people don't really remember how it came to be that they came into possession of that land. I mean, we remember the Bible, how they had land back then, but then those exits left, right? Anyway, I always remember those little things. So, but I don't know, USSR setting up Israel, I don't really know of that connection. And somehow we're talking about politics. We're doing Ask Uncle Birch. We were doing questions about witchcraft and magic, but whatever you got. I gotta. Oh shit! I'm gonna answer like 2 more questions, and we gotta like go. I didn't even realize what time it was. I've got this green bowl sitting here forever. We haven't even smoked.
Yeah. What's the video?
Got a putt pass. Sasha, you have 5 minutes. Okay, I had to give him the 5-minute warning, or he'll complain.
I wrote a speech for him, so you better not.
You put that on your phone?
Yeah.
Oh.
I write everything on.
All right. Well, it's been a lively crew. Interesting crew. But yeah, I had to at least act like they weren't lying. Had to at least give the impression that they weren't a bully, a criminal, a mobster. Yeah, I recognize the capacity of all of these people to have done that. I'm still an anarchist. I'm not a fucking fool. But they once had to at least act like it. Now we've given in to the worst common denominator of humankind and allowing it to go on. And I don't know, man. I thought most of us didn't like bullies. I thought we were kind of unified on that in most places, but I guess not Trump supporters. They like bullies.
They like the bullies when they're on their side.
Yeah, and that's his newest defense. Is he's not a nice guy. It takes a not nice guy to get things done in Washington.
Yeah, but he's gonna complain that New York hasn't been nice to him.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's very, very unfair to him, but he's never been fair to anybody.
Treated him very badly, very badly.
Israel was created out of Palestine by the British, or Palestina? Palestina. Yeah, I think that might be right. But, I also get it. Was it the 6-day war, 5-day war? I think that was actually Syria that started that war. Yeah, Sadat. Hell of a movie, Sadat.
Sadat was Syria?
Yeah, it was so.
No, he was Egyptian.
Oh, was it Egypt? Okay, the movie was Sadat. So maybe it was Egypt that started it.
Sadat
Okay. But it was, it was Egypt, Syria, all of the Arabic countries attacking them all at once. And I always remember that movie because even for Sadat being the leader of the country, it was a stonable offense to turn on the BBC. You could only listen to the state-run media. The state-run media was talking about their glorious forces overrunning the Jews and how they had almost driven them to the sea. It was very dramatic. There was music playing in the background, and Sadat's going, "What? That sounds a bit too easy. That can't be true." So he turned on the fucking BBC, and he found out that not only were they not driving the Jews to the sea, the Jews had driven into their lands and were coming for them. And were likely going to drive their way all the way back to fucking Syria, Egypt, and all of it, unless somebody did something and tried to, work out a peace deal to fucking stop them. And that's how they took Palestine and everything else as a buffer zone. Now, I do not support most of the actions of the Israelis against the Palestinians, but I understand that. Buffer zone. That's what Turkey's trying to do now. A buffer zone in between them and the Syrian conflict, and the Kurds are in there. I'm not saying what they're doing is right, but that's a pretty common thing. Russia just took over other countries and made those countries be the buffer zone. They just let those countries be the cannon fodder. We'll let them shut up. By the time they get here to actual Russia, we'll be ready. I simplify things a bit. Basically, that's what fucking happened. All right, so let's see. Everything is twisted. Yep. All right, hey, we gotta go, man. Check out the November 1st Witch School. It just opened at gumroad.com/witchschool. WITCHSKEWL. And there's so many things you can study there. So many just downloadable classes you'll just have a good time, skid over there to gumroad.com/witchskewl. I am Uncle Birch, and it's been a pleasure serving you. I will see you next time.